because we never knew that there was a solution for if you're out, it doesn't have to count against you. It can actually be something that's beneficial for you, beneficial for the practice, beneficial for the talent, the locum doctor who's coming in, who's able to build those relationships.
Hello and welcome to the Remarkable CEO Podcast, a show dedicated to chiropractors who want to transform their job into a business so that they can have a remarkable practice as part of a remarkable life, not instead of one. With your hosts, Dr. Pete Camiolo and Dr. Stephen Franson.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of the Remarkable CEO Podcast. I'm Dr. Stephen Franson, and I'm here with a very special guest, a great friend, and an awesome chiropractor, and a really sharp business person. One of my partners is Dr. Jeff Langmaid. Say hi, Dr. Jeff.
Dr. Stephen, I am pumped to be on. You guys have been doing an awesome job with the podcast. I'm happy to come on and chat about our topic of the day today and break it down for the docs out there and give them some additional insight, things that they might not have thought of that can help them and further that remarkable practice.
So Dr. Jeff is here from Chiro Match Makers, and you guys have heard the name Chiro Match Makers definitely throughout our history, at least in this season of the Remarkable CEO Podcast. You've heard their commercial spots, and over this month, you've heard that name come up over and over and over again. Full transparency. I'm one of the partners, one of the founders of Chiro Match Makers, and this is something that Dr. Alan Miner, who you've heard from this month, he and I got together a couple years back. We basically Frankenstein together a system that was solving a real problem that we were seeing with almost all of our clients and his doctors. So Dr. Allen has multiple practices. He wants to have hundreds of practices. He's got that gene. And he recognized that, the real bottleneck for him being able to scale his business was two things, really: new patients through the front door and people, right? So staffing. And what you've heard us say over and over again, quoting Top Grading, is 90% of our problems are people problems. Dr. Jeff, I know you know that to be true. So if 90% of our problems are people problems, he knew if he could slay those two dragons of new patients and staffing, putting together his chiropractic office assistants, his associate doctors, et cetera, he knew that his business would be almost infinitely scalable, right? So he had that going on in his laboratory, so to speak. Meanwhile, we were coaching hundreds of chiropractors who were struggling with their teams, whether it was their CAs or their office managers or their associate doctors, et cetera. Long story short, Alan became an expert in profiling people and matching very specific personalities with very specific roles in the chiropractic business. That being said, I went back to Alan. I said, Alan, I've got so many of these doctors that are coming my way looking to get this associate doctor thing right. And I've got this theory that we could take the science that you've been working with. We can actually profile the different types of chiropractors that flourish in different business models, whether they're a business builder or they're a caregiver, et cetera. Jeff, I know you know this story, but Chiro Match Makers was born from just that very project, right? So we are so excited to see how we've gotten such awesome traction in the profession. We've expanded. Now we are placing not only associate doctors, but also chiropractic assistants and office managers and salespeople, et cetera. And then that being said, we this year brought you guys into the house, and you guys have this extraordinary service that's a really popular concept around the world, especially in Australia, Canada, and Europe, but not so much in the United States. And that is the locum business, or the temporary doctor placement. So Dr. Jeff, we're super excited to have you on the show. We're super excited to have you as part of Chiro Match Makers now. Talk to us a little bit about it. Make pretend, our listeners are like, locum, what the heck's a locum? And why would anybody ever use one of those?
Dr. Stephen, you nailed it. It is something that is so critically important for practice stability, for practice growth, and it is a huge missed opportunity for so many docs out there. A locum doc is somebody who comes in when you can't be in your practice. So they say, okay, that starts to make sense, but what would be reasons why you can't be in your practice? And there's such an array of them. It could be that you're taking a vacation. It could be that you're taking a self-care day. It could be maternity or paternity leave. It could be that you're going to get continuing education credits, or you're visiting your favorite seminar. The reasons are nearly endless. We can break down some of these as we go through, but too many docs out there and yes, I'm talking to you if you're listening, is they close down their practice when they are unable to be there. And that is such a challenged position from a business and from a clinical perspective. From a business perspective, you still have that overhead and you are losing out on revenue. Now, from a clinical perspective, you have patients that are going through care, treatment, they're on care plans. They are looking for gains and they're looking to you to be there and provide that care that they are after so they can get those benefits in their life. And when you disrupt that flow, it's challenging again from a clinical sense, from a business sense. So what we do is provide those locum physicians getting the right, not just anybody, but getting the right person that you can feel comfortable and confident when you're out of the practice, that keeps your revenue positive, that keeps your patients engaged with their care plans, keeps your staff busy, and keeps the energy up. Because as you say all the time, and it is so true, practice is a direct reflection of the energy brought into it.
So good, man. And, I wanted to do a show on this because it is such a novel idea. And frankly, it's totally congruent, right? So, our premise, it's about creating a remarkable practice as part of a remarkable life, not instead of one, right? So here's what I know to be true. So many chiropractors just don't take vacations, or they just don't take them regularly enough. Or if they do take vacations, they're not real vacations because they're always checking in or maybe running into the office. They never really feel like they're off, right? Or so many of them can go like months, quarters, years, Jeff, without actually closing down the practice. Because do the math, shutting down your practice for a week or 10 days takes that $5,000 Disney cruise and turns it into a $12,000 Disney cruise. I mean, that adds up quick and you just can't get that money back, right? So, truth be told is I didn't know much about the locum business at all until I started coaching more and more of these doctors internationally. So especially in Australia, man, those Australians crush it when it comes to going on vacation. We should all be studying Australia's doctors. Man, the chiropractors, man, they know how to do it. I can tell you, I had these experiences where I would be, coaching these Australian doctors. They'd be like, yeah, so mate, I'm going to be leaving for 6 weeks to go to Bali to go surfing with my family. And I'm like, what are you talking about? And they're like, oh yeah, we're going to shut it down. And I'm like, are you going to shut down your practice in 6 weeks? And they were like, what are you talking about? And they're like, no, I'm bringing in a locum. And, I've got a great locum. I actually have two of them that I used during that period. And I've been using them for years and they're great. My patients love it, whatever. And I'm like, okay, rewind. What are you talking about? And they're like, oh yeah, we have a locum service, a temporary doc that comes in and covers the practice. And it's just beautiful, right? So, ultimately I get to go on vacation. I have the income that's coming in from that because of course you got to pay the locum, but you're still setting up the model so that it's at a profit. Your patients are getting the care that they need. You're not interrupting their rhythm. New patients are coming into the office. If you're trained up your team well, you can still convert new patients, and ultimately you don't have that guilt or distraction of knowing that you've shut down your practice and you're trying to take off for a week or 2 weeks, never mind 6 weeks, Jeff. It's amazing.
That's correct. And you hit it because there's a couple different reasons and a couple different ways that this comes in so impactfully in the lives of individuals, business owners, those chiropractic CEOs that use locum services. And it gives them the opportunity to, again, create revenue when they cannot be in their practice. That can't be overstated. It is just so important to business growth and stability. You don't have those negative days where you're closed. You can retain positive revenue, which is a direct reflection of the patient care that you're giving. The other point that you touched on, and I think it's maybe a taboo subject in chiropractic for many, is, everybody's so excited when you get into practice, but 20 and 30 years, depending upon your adjusting technique, that can wear you down. And taking the opportunity for some self-care, again, aside from the vacations, which should be a given for all of us out there working so hard to help people, providing the care that we do. We look at the CEs that are mandatory. You take a Friday off here, you take a Monday off here. Those start to add up over the course of time. Maternity and paternity leave we can talk about in a few moments, but giving yourself the opportunity to take that day once a month, once a quarter, to sort of take care of yourself is critically important to longevity. It's critically important to keeping your energy up. It's just sound business. But for so many chiropractors, we never even think of the idea because we never knew that there was a solution for if you're out, it doesn't have to count against you. It can actually be something that's beneficial for you, beneficial for the practice, beneficial for the talent, the locum doctor who's coming in, who's able to build those relationships. And we see time and time again that these just form great bonds. And, many of our talent doctors, many of our locum doctors really become assets for the practice long-term, which is just so awesome. They're able to have their flexibility, and the clinic owners, those docs out there listening, you're able to do the things that you've never been able to do before. Actually take vacations with your family and actually be able to go away and not be stressed out about it the whole time.
Okay, let's take a quick break and talk about Chiro Match Makers.
Chiro Match Makers will help you find the right person for the job. If you're looking to hire the ideal chiropractic assistant, Chiro Match Makers will help you find the specific person missing from your team so that you can get back to using your talents to serve more people. Or if you're looking to hire the ideal associate doctor, CMM can help. Chiro Match Makers helps chiropractors like you find the ideal associate doctor to unlock your practice potential and get you the freedom that you desire. To learn more, go to chiromatchmakers.com.
And now let's jump right back into our conversation.
Yeah. And Jeff, there's like 9 reasons why people use locums, but I just want to stay here for just a second because this is the stuff that's exciting and fun, right? The idea of taking vacations, and not just your typical, hey, I'm going to go away vacation. You could also do a staycation, where you've decided, you know what, you're just going to stick around and stay home. It doesn't have to be anything extraordinary where you go for a big travel, just hang out with your family, maybe catch up with the things you have to do at home, that honey-do list. Or how about a workcation, right? So something that we call the pit stop, right? We're all F1 racing fans, car racing fans, right? So the idea of the pit stop, which is you could stay in that practice and continue to work, but just not be bending over the table, seeing patients and giving your body a rest. For those doctors out there who are physical, really manual adjusters, the idea of like being able to take 2 or 3 or 4 days off, or 2 or 3 or 4 weeks, bring somebody in and give that body an opportunity to recover. And here's the truth. We all know what happens if you don't take that pit stop in the race, right? You might be on the other side of this thing, which is not so much fun, right? So whether we end up with a health crisis or we have an injury or what have you, next thing you know, we're on our backs and wondering, what the heck do we do now, right? So if you can't go into the practice, so many of our doctors are those owner operators. They're bum up, their head down, just taking care of these patients. And they're the ones that are actually delivering the care or delivering the majority of the care. If they're out of the picture, they're physically unable to do it, man, the business can screech to a halt. And man, now that gets really expensive. So the idea of being able to bridge that gap for that doctor and be there to make sure that not only do the patients receive care, but the business keeps turning and going, you don't lose any of your momentum.
You're correct. And I love the idea of growth as well. We see docs that are growing, and maybe they're just at that point where they're not ready for associate. Maybe they've just started speaking with Chiro Match Makers about trying to find an associate. And it's like throttling growth. It just crushes my soul because you're not able to serve your community. If we only have so much time in a day as individual people. So as you're growing, it's also just a fantastic bridge for growth because you can open up things, you can provide additional services, and you can go through the process as Chiro Match Makers does, which is really finding the right associate, right? It's a little bit more time on the front end, but it saves you tens of thousands of dollars and who knows how much time on the back end. So if you're dipping your toe into maybe adding on an associate, maybe it's a second associate that you're adding on, whatever it might be, it just crushes me when I see throttled growth in chiropractic practices when you're unable to serve the demand that's in your community that you spend so much time, energy, and building trust, and you're unable to serve those people. That absolutely is a big challenge for some docs out there, and locum services enable you to kind of use it on the fly, right? So you can push and pull and you can really be dynamic with your growth. And that is so important to creating stability in your practice as you go through the 4 seasons that you teach, Stephen.
Yeah. And honestly, I was licking my chops when we thought about this concept of, man, we could provide a locum bridge solution for these doctors who had approached Chiro Match Makers looking for an associate doctor, right? So like you said, it's not, we don't have a magic wand. You can't just create or poof, you've got the perfect associate doctor inside of a week or 2, right? So it takes time to find that ideal associate to fit that role in that model. So it gives us that bridge solution while we're looking for that ideal permanent doc. You can put a temporary doc in there. Man, I love that. Or how about the doctor that loses an associate doctor? Like either there's a, you know what, hey, I'm quitting, or I'm moving, or you know what, you're fired. So these things happen. We've all had the pain and the brain damage that comes with, all of a sudden there used to be 2 doctors, or there used to be 3 doctors, there used to be 4 doctors, and now there's 1 less. So the idea of being able to bridge that gap very quickly. And of course, there's the all too famous, doc, I've got some great news. I'm pregnant. And of course, all of us have been in that place where we fight making that face, Jeff. You know what I'm talking about, right? You got a big smile blasted on your face, but your face immediately starts cramping because you get that mid-morning nausea thought of, oh my goodness, I'm going to be losing this associate doctor. And you smile and you say, congratulations. But in your head, you're like, okay, I need some help. I got to find me some coverage doc.
Yeah, whether it's maternity or paternity leave, so many docs out there. And again, whether it's, female chiropractor that's, giving birth, or whether it's a male chiropractor, and their wife is going through the process, it's challenging. I think a lot of docs out there feel stressed, like whether you are the one delivering the baby or not, you feel the stress and the pull back to the practice. And a lot of this comes down to because closed days are bad days. Closed days, you can't serve and you can't create revenue. And this puts a lot of pressure on young families. It creates a lot of stress and it's challenging. And not to mention your staff who's kind of left in limbo. Are they, what's going on with them? Do you pay them? Do you not pay them? Or, how long is too long? And all of those stressors are unnecessary, ultimately, when we look at it. When you can provide, and as we do, locum services into a practice, it just reduces that stress. It reduces the friction. The practice can stay profitable. The patients can stay on their care plans, and it gives the doc the opportunity to make a decision in sound mind, not a decision based upon the stress of overhead, the stress of the business. And that is just such a happier time. It's lifestyle. It is part of, it's part of having a remarkable life, is being able to enjoy it along the way. And locum services, locum docs with Chiro Match Makers enable you to take these things that I think historically we viewed as stressful events. Vacations, all of us, we've taken vacation, we're stressed out, and it's like the point of a vacation is not to stress out. So it just dives into really being able to, not have your practice run you, but being able to really become that CEO, being able to sort of manage, being able to take control of what you can, but you got to have the right partners, the right tools, the right people, and the right systems in order to do so. And certainly regarding vacation relief or locum services, we know we can help you here at Chiro Match Makers. So that's what gets us jazzed when we hear the feedback and the testimonials, and really just the, hey, you really saved my butt. Yeah, it's that feels good because that's real life stuff and it's impactful to people's lives. And if we can do that, then we're doing the right thing.
So good. So whether we're solving a problem by reacting to a situation where a doctor's find themselves stuck, or they're jumping in and becoming proactive and actually designing the life and the business that they want to own, man, this is what success looks like, right? So I raise my children knowing that with success comes better choices, right? So what we've done is we've created, hey, you've got some better options, right? So if you get some good options here, you can decide exactly how moving forward, what is my 2021 going to look like, right? As we're planning out those vacations, planning out a maternity leave, or planning and expecting growth. So Dr. Jeff, how do we get in touch with you? How do we learn more about finding a great locum for our practice?
Yeah, I'd encourage everybody to head over to chiromatchmakers.com. Again, that's chiromatchmakers.com. That's really where you can get the process started. I'm going to encourage everybody as well. Sometimes those unexpected, health crisis or injuries occur, but really start to think about this. It just as in the associate placement business with, placing locum doctors, it is something where we want to find the best person for your practice. That doesn't take eons, but the more that you can plan things, that enables us to secure and lock in the dates that you need with those perfect locum docs. So even if you don't have anything on your calendar right now in the next 30 days or 45 days, head on over to chiromatchmakers.com. Let us know once you get kind of in our ecosystem, which is totally free just to get in the ecosystem. That enables you to be able to activate, and then we can source and secure and lock in those dates that much quicker. So if this is something that sounds good to you in 2020 and or 2021 for sure, head over to chiromatchmakers.com, connect with us there. That gives us the opportunity to get started working for your practice.
All right, CEOs, there you go. Another tool in the tool belt on your way of creating the remarkable business that supports your remarkable life, not competes with it. I'm Dr. Stephen Franson on behalf of the Remarkable CEO. God bless and have an awesome week.
Thanks for listening to this episode of the Remarkable CEO podcast. Remember, what the world needs now is chiropractic, and what chiropractic needs now is more successful chiropractors. If you like this podcast, please subscribe, share with a friend, and leave us a review. And if you'd like to connect with us personally, direct message us on Facebook, LinkedIn, or Instagram. Now go and be remarkable.